Hello, folks. I'm Joe Wesley. Thank you very much for signing on today with our I wish it were not, our 8 o'clock a.m. weekly podcast, 15-minute duration, Eastern Standard Time. For those who are coming in for the first time, thank you for your visiting of us. For those who are coming back, we really appreciate that. Some commercial break here. The theme here is I'm a left brain kind of guy. And Lizzy, who's part of the team, and she may not be able to make it today because she has some items she has to care for on a family matter. But if she does, we'll work it from that angle. But normally, what we do is we talk about her being a wellness coach, besides being a certified yoga instructor. And she talks about value of health that leads into success. Now, the success part I understand, the health part I understand. I'm a biology major. I pride myself being a left brain persona. However, what I don't get is what I call the yin and yang of mindfulness. And we've talked about that at length before, so I won't spend much time, but I'm trying to understand her wording. Her references. Who's Einstein? When you quote him, what's that supposed to mean to me? So you explain it to me in a manner that makes sense to my left brain, if at all possible. Got nothing to do with my brain, by the way. So we do these 15-minute weekly programs, and I bring this to the point that we're now in our anniversary period. That last session was our 50. This is our was our 52nd. Now some people go whole numbers. 50th, 150th. I go by like weddings. I've been married for over 30 years. It's 52 calendar weeks on the environment. So we even differed on that one. But because of our differences, we've been able to grow. And what we decided we're going to do, for those who have seen I call it our book cover or our banner, it's different from what it had been before. We're celebrating as our anniversary, particularly going into the new year, of new promises, new directions, new growth, to do things somewhat differently. So we've played around with our logo, and we want to thank those who made input into that. We got over 72 responses, and that was very good. We appreciate your input. We are changing our platform to some degree. We would go from topic to topic as I'm trying to understand this Lizzy phenomena thing. And it's important to do that for me because she's recognized in her industry as being very good. And if something's good, I want to learn more about that. So one of the new things we're doing is we're doing what we call micro series. And for the month of December, particularly our anniversary month, there you go. We talk about anniversaries. December is our anniversary month. And rather than celebrate it in one spot time, we're going to celebrate it through the entire month of December, going into New Year resolution format. So there'll be different things we're doing that I think will excite you, the audience, and certainly will excite us in terms of presenting the value to you. Another commercial break. I'd like to remind you, for those who are viewing us, we do have a repeat version available to you for some length of time. So if you're looking at us at 8 o'clock in the morning, you have something else you have to do, not a problem. Go back to that same site where you saw us for the first time, click it, and it will play again. And if you're looking at us, you can look at us through LinkedIn, through Facebook, and through YouTube. If you're looking at us through YouTube, please remember to sign in so you can leave comments as you would in Facebook or LinkedIn. We do audit our performance, our presentation, and we'll get back to you. We encourage you to ask a question, to make a suggestions. Please remember to subscribe so you can keep on top of when we're presenting our next topic. And remember to share this with your friends, your family. Provide questions, challenge us. You don't want to self-talk to each other and not be relevant to you. So the concept here is understanding this issue of mindfulness. Does it really work? And I think for people who are inclined to go that flow, makes perfect sense, I guess. For people like myself, I'm not quite clear on it, and we have a lot of back and forth. And when we first began this, we had certain rules in play. First off, we weren't going to rehearse because we wanted to keep my confusion real. Number one. Number two, that we would agree on topic in all fairness to each other because we had to have an agenda. Now, one of the things we might be doing differently, we might present future topics to come. And I say might because we're exploring. We want to grow for your benefit, for your value. And people talk about New Year's resolutions all the time. And I don't know how many people actually keep that. I do know the healthcare facilities, the exercise places, they do boggles of new business the first 2 or 3 months of the year. We're much, much more long-sighted than that because we believe your life is much more long-sighted than that. So we really, really work hard with our programs to you. Now, part of the challenge is, and that was really when we first began this, how do we present our package? What I didn't want, and Lizzy agreed with this, is to simply talk about the value of mindfulness or the importance of left brain quality. Anybody can do that. We really wanted it to be stimulating. We wanted it, in some sense, I won't say confrontational, but certainly to raise questions that people might take for granted. One of the chief differences between myself and Lizzy, when she talks about her mindfulness, she'll say, well, what you have to do or need to do or ought to do is decide that you're going to behave differently. You're going to become aware, and I believe that's what mindfulness means, aware of the moment, and not get caught up in reacting, so you don't have the space to define how you choose to respond. And maybe it's part of mindfulness, having a choice rather than simply reacting. Because I don't quite frankly see how you can get better at what you're doing. If you simply, they tap my knee, it jerks my foot into the wall, I'm going to get sore toes after a while. So if one can choose to respond and how they go about it, I could see where that could be a healthier scenario. Now, having said that, the challenge I have with Lizzy ongoing is she makes it sound like you simply turn on a light switch. Well, you go into a state of mindfulness. What the hoot does that mean? And a lot of our theme goes along that line. So to give you an example, this month of holiday season, it's really about, we've chosen the theme overthinking. And it's easy to do. In fact, one lady said I meet in her group on a weekly manner, and she says she likes Thanksgiving more than she likes Christmas, Hanukkah, period. And I ask her why. She says, well, because Thanksgiving, people come together. You enjoy food together. You gain weight separately, it seems. But you don't have to worry about getting gifts or presents. So it's a sense of family, a sense of fellowship without the cost burden, time burden of getting presents. And so December is really hyped up on that. They're talking about, can I get presents this year because of the supply chain backup? How much more will the presents cost? How's it going to affect my budget? Now, one might say these are expected concerns of holiday period. I get that. But at some point I'm thinking it's one thing to say if you're mindfulness or whatever that word may be, then you won't get caught up in overthinking. Now, when I think of overthinking, I'm thinking like I have a stuffy closet and I have to find my gloves. I love to collect gloves for the winter. I'm Chicago born, New Jersey based, not quite as bad, but never warm season persona. So if I have gloves for driving, I have gloves for taking the garbage out, I have gloves for shoveling the snow, I just have to have my gloves. But the problem is, it's not a problem, I have my gloves. Each one has a specific purpose. The challenge is when I'm trying to find the proper glove. And it's like socks. Somehow, no matter how nicely I put the gloves together, because I really want to do this right. Now, one might say I'm overthinking this, but I find when I go looking for a glove for the right moment, I've got one for driving the car and one for shoveling the snow, and somehow they end up together. And I'm at a complete loss how that happens. Some might say that it's not overthinking when you're trying to make things work well, and you're working very hard at it. Makes sense to me. So we'll have to get Lizzy when she comes back next week because again, our micro series for the month of December is when does overthinking get in the way? Perhaps that's a better way of saying it. But I still believe that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And where somebody might think hard about something because of the importance associated with it, as opposed to, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal, it'll care for itself, it will figure itself out. To me, that's gross underthinking. And that's much more danger, much more hazard than the risk of, quote, overthinking. So it could be either way, that overthinking, underthinking, it's a combination of relative value or not. And either one could become a burden. So if you think, by the way, as I'm talking about the month of December for overthinking, if you have an idea for the month of January or February, whichever month it may be, that please share that with us. Now, normally what Lizzy and I do agree on is from topic to topic, meaning from week to week. But we begin to think more long-term planning because we want to consider again a continuum of thought rather than a moment to moment. And our focus also is not to focus on who said what where, because quite frankly, if you want to hear a quote from Einstein, there are a lot of programs that will offer you that. It's just not my psyche. And sometimes I don't even understand the words. So give me something that's real for the moment that I live from day to day. And I guess overthinking or not is preparing, say, a holiday meal. And so you have your appetizers, you have your condiments, if I'm saying that correctly, you have your side dishes, you have your main dish. You have to have it all come to the table. You don't want a cold turkey and warm side dishes, or worse yet, a warm turkey and everything else is cold. So there's organization on that, and there's thinking involved behind that organization. So I'm not convinced that in itself overthinking is all that bad versus all that good, versus underthinking, which I'm much more threatened by. So for those who are listening, I'm sorry for that sneezing cough. We do have background noise here sometimes to break the momentum of things going on. But that being said, the concept here is we really want your input to help us move things along for your benefit, for your value. And there's certainly, it's to grow. And growth in a manner that we become more successful for you, that you become more successful because of us, hopefully. And you can share that out with other people also. So we really are focused in that direction. So if you can provide us, and we might even do that as a question, a topic, what would you like us to talk about in January? A spoiler, from my perspective, I call January kind of a void syndrome because we've gone through the rush of the holidays, multiple times off between Thanksgiving and the first of the year celebration. And there's not anything as a holiday until like 3 to 4 to 5 months down the road. For those of us who live in the north, we've got to deal with snow and cold weather. And that's aside from the medical issues floating around right now, with an additional challenge item. For those of us who will charge and charge to buy and buy, all of a sudden those bills, not all of a sudden, within a 30-day, 28 to 30-day time period, the bills start coming in. So that's a lot of stuff to deal with. By the way, we've gained more weight, likely on top of that. At least me, I lose always at least a belt notch of size. So there's a lot of pressure besides resolutions I make to maintain for the year that January represents. So it would be nice to have a topic to talk about that. So if you have an idea, if you have a concept that can move us in that direction, please leave your opinion on that direction. So once again, for those who are seeing us coming in a little bit late, that Lizzy had to resolve some issues for family. And these things come up. We're human beings, we're live people, and things happen. But the show must go on, as they say. So there'll be times, no doubt, when Lizzy will be carrying the ball and I'm the one that's not here. But the month of December is overthinking. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it appropriate or not? certainly for this time of year. Would love to hear your comments. Would love to hear your input. Please remember to subscribe. Please remember to share us with your friends, your family, maybe even your foes, perhaps. But in any instance, we wish everybody a good holiday season. The theme this month, get the word out, is overthinking during holiday period. Is it functional or dysfunctional? And can wellness make a difference for you versus my left brain? We'll see how that works. Thank you for visiting us. Have a good day. Have a good week. Talk to you soon again.